I'm gonna start a new series on this channel called Underrated Fights in History, and this series will analyze certain fights that have happened in history that I believe have flown under the radar for most casual and hardcore fans in boxing. So we're gonna start this series off with a personal favorite of mine. So this is one fight that I do love to watch over and over again. It's obviously Miguel Cotto versus Shane Mosley. So this fight happened almost 10 years ago. So the reason why I'm starting the series off with this particular fight is because this particular fight it happened almost 10 years ago, and obviously Mosley has only retired a year or two ago, and obviously Miguel Cotto is going to have probably one more fight in his career before he finally hangs them up. So I feel like in terms of time and perspective, it's a very appropriate fight to actually analyze for this particular channel. So just to put it into perspective, the reason why I want to analyze this fight is because when you evaluate Miguel Cotto's career, most casual fans seem to remember the fight that he had with. They're going to remember him for the fight that he had with Pacquiao. They're going to remember him for the fight that he had with Mayweather. The fact that he was game against both of them, but he came up short against both of them. They're also going to mainly remember him because of the fight that he had with Margarito. Mainly because obviously the controversy with the plaster wraps, but that particular fight has shadowed his entire career for as long as his as long as we do discuss Miguel Cotto's career, we're always going to discuss that fight. But there's one fight that I believe has flown under the radar when it comes to Miguel Cotto in terms of analysing his greatness, and that's his fight against Shane Mosley. So just to put it into perspective, Shane Mosley was actually coming off a 5-fight win streak. So Shane Mosley was actually he obviously Miguel Cotto had just finished beating Zab Judah, and at this moment in time Miguel Cotto has become like a supreme pound for pound star in Puerto Rico. He was constantly selling out Madison Square Garden, and obviously Mosley at that particular time was not actually he for some reason has never fought in Madison Square Garden up to that point. So obviously the last 5 opponents that Shane Mosley beat was David Estrada, Jose Luis Cruz, Fernando Vargas, who he beat twice, and obviously Luis Collazo, and obviously Cotto just came off knocking out Zab Judah, who I believe the fight before actually gave Mayweather a very hard fight. So just to put it into perspective, Shane Mosley was 36 years old at this moment in time, so he was seen to be going at the latest stage of his career, and Miguel Cotto was 27 years old. However, it was after he beat Zab Judah, he became a mainstream star in terms of his actual pulling power in Puerto Rico. He was seen as Puerto Rico's next big boxing superstar, and Shane Mosley was seen as this veteran fighter who was coming across as a fighter who although he was older, he had the style of a fighter that was younger because he depended on his reflexes, he depended on his speed. While Miguel Cotto, although he was younger, he had the style of a fighter who was older because he was much patient. He had a level of maturity to his game that wasn't that common for a fighter that young actually. So obviously just looking at their careers at this moment in time, a lot of people were seeing that they believed that going into this fight that Mosley was going to be the one who was going to have the slippery boxing skills and the savvy and the experience, and he's going to do his best to actually outbox Miguel Cotto. While Miguel Cotto was seen as the one who was going to be the one pressuring, the one that was going to actually go towards the body. But when you actually look at the fight, the actual consensus of the fight was completely different. It was Miguel Cotto who was at some points out punching Mosley, and it was Miguel Cotto who was using his jab more prominently, and it was Miguel Cotto who was actually outboxing Mosley, while Mosley was the one that was actually pressuring. Mosley was the one trying to land the haymakers, and Mosley was the one that was actually trying to land the power shots and try to be the aggressive one. So just initially looking at the fight, when you actually do look at it, you do actually see that the fight played out completely unexpected. At that moment in time, obviously Mosley was respected, but it was sort of expected that Cotto was gonna actually it was actually expected that Cotto was gonna actually lose to Mosley. Mosley was expected to actually outbox him. So this victory that Miguel Cotto had over Mosley was very, very substantial for his career. Obviously, when he did beat Zab Judah, he was seen as a world-class fighter. He was definitely a world-class fighter because he was a world champion at that point. However, after he beat, he became a star. He became a mainstream star after he beat Zab Judah. But when he beat Mosley, he reached elite status in the world of boxing. So at that point, after he beat Mosley, he was 31-0, and he topped a lot of top contenders and champions to actually get to the position that he was at. So it must be said, and obviously this fight happened a bit before Cotto actually fought Margarito, and obviously at this moment in time, it must be said Mosley was a top game fighter. Although he was 36 years old, he was by no means finished as a fighter. He was a top fighter, and you can see by the actual scorecards that despite his age, he more than held his own in this particular fight. But he may have gone into the fight with the wrong game plan, and obviously it was aired on HBO. The promotions was Golden Boy Promotions and Top Rank. So I believe Cotto was promoted by Bob Arum at the time, and they were both fighting for the WBA welterweight title, and it was the third defense by Cotto. So obviously Cotto was the one that held the title, and at this moment in time, it was Mosley who was the challenger for that particular title. So it was just a great fight. It was a welterweight fight. Obviously, a year later, Floyd Mayweather was going to fight Hatton in that particular consensus. But it must be said, yeah, I think when you look back on the legacy of Miguel Cotto, you can argue that this is one of his top performances. At this moment in time, he was seen just as a brawler, but in this particular fight, he came out of his skin, and he performed amazingly for this particular fight, and he showed that he had different levels of his games, and he can adapt. In this particular fight, he showed he also had a great chin, because Mosley kept tagging him with the right hand, overhand right hand. He kept hitting him on the chin, but Cotto, for some reason, he may have been staggered once in the 5th round, but generally speaking, he was never staggered. He was never that much hurt from Mosley's right hand, and that was quite surprising for most onlookers, because Cotto up to that point did show some defensive frailties when he fought Ricardo Torres, and he got hit down low. But again, you can say the reason why he showed them defensive frailties was because he was at a lower weight class, and maybe when he hit the welterweight division, he rehydrated better, so he took shots a lot better. So that's just my analysis for this particular fight. I think it's a very interesting fight, and I don't think it deserves it gets the credit that it deserves as a good fight. So honestly, I think this may be one of the best performances of Cotto's entire career. So it should be a fight that he's defined by, but for some reason, we're only most boxing fans are gonna remember Cotto for his fights, the fights that he's lost, basically the fight against Pacquiao, the fight against Mayweather, and obviously the fight against Margarito, the first fight that he lost. But I think if you look back on his career, this should be the fight that he's remembered for, and also his fight against Zab Judah. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on this particular fight. Tell me what you think below, and obviously subscribe to this channel. I've got more content coming your way. Peace out.